All right, it's 20 minutes before 8 o'clock here on Morning Live. A very good morning to you if you've just tuned in, and welcome to Morning Live. Now, International Women's Month, which is in March every year, is coming to an end. However, before it does, we continue to look at women who are making a mark. When the auditor-general Kimi Makwetu announced the appointment of Tsakani Ratsela as the new deputy auditor-general in 2015, it was the first time that a South African woman had been appointed to this executive leadership position in that organization in its 103-year history. But we are now joined by Tsakani herself. We'll talk to her about her role, of course, in this important government function. Tsakani, good morning to you. Thank you so much for coming through.
Good morning, Falisa. Thank you for having me this morning.
Thank you so much indeed. Well, first question. Who is Tsakani Ratsela? I know you were telling me that you're a mother of two.
Yes, I'm the mother of two girls, a 15-year-old and a 1-year-old.
Okay, we're not going to say anything about that age gap, right? Family planning no.
problems. And they are just the joy of my world. Yeah. I'm the daughter to the late Judge George Maluleke, who passed away a few months ago, and Morongwe Maluleke. Yeah. I'm a big sister to my siblings, two sisters and a brother, and they're probably my closest friends. Yeah. And yes, over and above that, I serve as the nation's Deputy Auditor-General.
Most importantly. Now, I just want to go back a little. You made mention of your late father, and when I was researching for this interview, I came across one particular item that's very interesting, that you wanted to follow Daddy's footsteps, but accidentally you sort of studied chartered accountancy.
Yes, so yes, like many girls, I'm the quintessential daddy's girl. Oh. And I wanted to go and study law. And at the end of high school and when I was preparing to go to university, it was him who said to me, look, go and study commerce first and then you can pursue your law degree. And the only reason I did that was I just didn't want to have a fight with the man. Mm-hmm. So off I went to university. At the end of that first year, having now discovered accounting and getting to know the accountancy profession a little bit more, I had the opportunity to go and do VAC work over the holidays. And there I got to interact with people who were either in training or who had already qualified as accountants. What was striking to me, and so this is now back in '94, a very different country, no doubt. And what was striking to me was that there were very few black people in the firm. Yeah. And I kept asking about this, innocently asking, young as I was, innocently asking, what's this about? And somebody let slip or sort of said, look, black people struggle to pass the board exam. They struggle to enter the profession. So I asked why, and the reasons were unconvincing. So I was like, well, I'm going to do it.
I've got to bring that change.
And honestly, that's why I pursued it. Yeah. And it was fairly easy to convince my parents of the merits of this decision. It also helped that I then got a bursary to continue with my studies towards accounting. And yeah, that's how I then ended up qualifying.
Interestingly, you looked up to Sis Nonkululeko Kopodo, the chairperson of Sizwe Nzalupa Kopodo, someone who's making it very big in the industry.
Yes, so when I started to learn a bit more about the profession, I got to understand that Professor Wiseman Nkutli was indeed the first African person to qualify as a chartered accountant. Sis Nonkululeko was the first African woman, and obviously that motivated me, immensely. And she's remained a very close friend and mentor to me throughout my career. I look up to her in many ways. In the profession, we have the benefit of elders in the profession who are there to mentor, to look up to guide, to support. And it's something I do value in the profession and something I've certainly benefited from.
Yeah, and we've had conversations previously on Morning Live talking about values and morals, and we've actually come to a conclusion to say, look, it looks like our young kids and the youth in South Africa do not have role models that they look up to. Yeah. And I know this is a very important subject close to your heart. Yes. You do have people that you're mentoring?
Yes, I do. It's something I love to do. One of the best parts of my job is that I get to work with young people. Yeah. A third of the people that work for the Office of the Auditor-General, there are about 3,000 odd of us who work for the Office of the Auditor-General on a full-time basis. A third of them are people who are training to become chartered accountants. Yeah. So they walk into our offices, 300 of them every single year, and they spend 3 years with us. Many of them then stay and continue their journey with us. Others then move on to do other things. Yeah. So these young people challenge manage me, but I love the fact that my job gives me the opportunity to work with them as they pursue their own ambitions, to find every way to make their journey a little bit easier, and to find every way to keep inspiring them to strive for the things that they want.
Yeah, and we do know that auditing and maybe the area of monitoring financial movements rarely have a woman or women rather as leaders. Do you think it's a matter of gender? Is it a matter of disparities as a result of the previous regime, or is it a matter of capability? And how do we get past the stereotype?
I think certainly it's not a matter of capability. I think women have proven over and over again that given often even just half a chance, they prove the myths wrong about capability deficits. Women work hard, mostly harder than anybody else around them, because we've learned that we've got to do that if we're going to strive. And so I believe that it's up to leaders to create opportunities for women, to ensure that in their different spaces, in the organizations that they lead, they are mindful of the responsibility to create opportunities for women, not only to enter the organizations, but to continue to grow in those organizations, mindful of the burden that women face in different organizations, given the responsibilities that society places on us. So this thing about work-life balance, this thing about needing to still be a mom and a wife and and all of these other roles that we play, mindful of all of that. And whilst society must continue to find ways to change that and get men to play their role as we build families and society, employers need to ensure that they're making their environments such that women come to those organizations, stay in those organizations, and continue to develop in those organizations.
It's true. Now, you've been with the AG's office from 2014, as I said. What's your sense of compliance, maybe, of government departments and agencies? Do you think there is an improvement now in terms of understanding how they're supposed to use their budget allocations, and where are the areas of improvement if there are?
So, I mean, every year the 600 odd chartered accountants that work with us together with the rest of the staff complete audits right across the country. And we have 2 cycles, one for provincial national government, another one for local government, and then the auditor-general goes and presents that report publicly, and often he'll talk about the slow improvements that we would see, the slow responses to the need to improve the state of public finances. In a little while, he'll be releasing a report on the most recent local government audits, and I think it'll give the nation a good sense of where things are. I think some entities in government are making improvements, but far too many are not. And it's really the basics, right? It's really about making sure that you've got the right people doing the right things, overseen appropriately and held accountable for their performance. Putting together a set of financials is actually not that difficult.
But do you think as ordinary South Africans we understand the work of the Office of the AG?
Over time, I've seen much improvement in ordinary people, like non-accountants' ability to understand our audit lingo. I mean, that's really difficult, because we've also had to invest a lot of time and effort in driving simplicity of our message, so that citizens for whom we serve, to whom we're supposed to be doing this work, actually understand. And we've seen that improvement. If I observe how the public engages with our work, the outcomes we deliver, I sense that they have a much better understanding of how our work influences them, how our work helps them understand the state of the entities and the institutions that by design are there to serve them as citizens.
Tsakani, you and I would talk for the whole day, but I'm afraid we have to leave it at that. Thank you so much for coming through. I hope this is an inspirational story to young women watching.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much indeed. Tsakani Ratsela is the Deputy Auditor-General of South Africa, and we were chatting with her as a woman, of course, in that particular executive position as we wrap up International Women's Month in March. Oh, Tsakani, I know you used to spend your holidays as a 9-year-old behind the tills, but we're not going to talk about that now. Thank you so much indeed. Well, let's take a quick ad break here on Morning Live. There's still so much more to come. Don't go away.